Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon. Real Housewives of Dubai Season 2 Reunion, Part 2 Recap. The Beggars and the Borrowers' Final Battle. The Real Housewives of Dubai Season 2 Reunion has just wrapped, bringing the cameras down on another wealthy, petty, amazing Real Housewives series. While a few of these ladies easily tied up their loose ends within this cast, others could not, as expected. During Part 2, aka the final episode, Aanne and Lisa finally face off, going head-to-head with May-worthy receipts. As for Stanbury, she opens up about all things babies as Sarah clocks in, doing her best to hold her buddy Brooks accountable. More often than not, the vibes grew heated as several voices clocked in, chirping louder than a flock of Habata birds on the soundstage, causing Andy Cohen to sigh and regroup more times than I could ever hope to count. Catch what I mean now via this Real Housewives of Dubai Season 2 Reunion, Part 2 Recap. And ladies, thank you for this ride. I enjoyed every second. Now, please return for a Season 3. The Blood/Love Fest continues on the Housewives of Dubai Season 2 Reunion, Part 2. Last week, Talen and Brooks called each other a liar. Therefore, Andy now has to wade through this mess. He asks Brooks why she thinks Rafi inserted himself into his wife's arguments, to which Brooks admits that Rafi probably should not have done this. He was de-escalating the situation, Talen interjects. Talen's statement sets Lisa off as Brooks turns to Andy, equally ready to rumble. Brooks asks, "Andy, we're going to debate whether a man should be yelling at me." Brooks then begs to move on. Andy says yes. When Brooks failed to arrive at the airport for a cast trip to Bali, everyone was worried. Watching their concern made Brooks feel loved, so that's nice. She still does not feel mustard yellow shades, however. She then compares Lisa's gifted Bali dress to stomach bile. Lisa remains mortified for the designer. Aanne jumps in, causing Stanbury to reprimand her that the designer's name is not Suck Dick. But Lisa points out that his name does sound like this when spoken. Andy has nothing against it, making both couches giggle. Andy recalls Brooks' appearance on Watch What Happens Live, where she revealed that if Talen apologized, she would make amends. As Talen apologized for a few things, Andy wants an update. Brooks is good, but Talen wants Brooks to take accountability for her smear campaign online. Brooks is back on red, and she and Talen start going tit for tat on their grievances. Andy notes that Brooks' tweets are pretty pointed. Everyone agrees. Brooks owns it. She apologizes to Talen. They break for lunch, but the cameras follow. Talen vents to Sarah. Sarah encourages her to talk to Brooks. Brooks complains to Lisa about Aanne and Lisa agrees. But Aanne is also frustrated, feeling like Lisa is baiting her. Brooks follows Sarah's urging and pops into Talen's room for a chat. She is ready to move forward, but Talen is still annoyed over Brooks' online behaviors, which point towards cheating in Talen's marriage. "You're the one who said you bring women into your home," Brooks responds. But Talen shuts her down, stressing she never said that. Brooks still wants to move forward without rehashing all of their past arguments. Talen, however, wants to talk about everything, so she calls Brooks a deflector as Brooks starts to exit her green room. "You barely apologized," Talen says, noting that she never begged Brooks for a spot on Housewives of Dubai, as Brooks claimed. "You wanted me on this show to bring Stanbury and everyone down," Talen adds as Brooks once again calls bullsh** on Talen's claims. "B**tch, Talen quips, once alone in her green room. The ladies head back to the soundstage. Andy quickly dives in, showing a hysterical compilation of how unathletic this cast is. Everyone laughs. But then their golf fight comes up. Brooks explains that Stanbury messaged her to complain about Lesa's event, where Lisa branded everything with her Mina Row logo. Stanbury denies this. Footage supports her denials. Stanbury then calls out the group, slamming her co-stars for dissing each other's wins. Lisa lets loose, clapping back at Stanbury for accusing her of stealing her designs in Season 1. And then Lisa pulls out a receipt as Andy jokes, "Is this gonna land?" In Lisa's hand is a journal, which Stanbury sells. "I didn't say I wrote that. Your creams are from Alibaba," Stanbury retorts, making me suck my breath in. Aanne throws Brooks under the bus, saying Brooks found them at Alibaba. Brooks gets hot. That wasn't her, she argues. Stanbury has had a stressful year. Construction projects are taxing. Her man Sergio is now building a small boutique hotel in Bali, and for their haters, stand back, as these two are solid. Stanbury's baby plans, however, are still not solid, but as surrogacy is now legal in Dubai. The lights dimmed over the lavish set of the Real Housewives of Dubai reunion, where velvet-covered seats, oversized floral arrangements, and crystal chandeliers framed the scene for the climactic final battle between the beggars and the borrowers. Part 2 of the reunion promised fireworks, and by the end of the night, the promises would be met tenfold. Tensions were high, with old grievances bubbling to the surface like a searing desert wind. Host Andy Cohen, master of these explosive gatherings, opened the show with an understated, "Let's pick up where we left off," but the women were far from quiet or composed. For much of this season, alliances had shifted like the sands of Dubai's deserts, but as the night would reveal, grudges had settled in deep. ##### the Queen of the Desert versus the Beggars. At the heart of the drama was the long-standing feud between Caroline Stanbury, often referred to as the Queen of Dubai's social scene, and Aanne, the outspoken supermodel who had spent the season calling out anyone who dared underestimate her. Aanne's piercing gaze shot across the room as Caroline began explaining her side of the story. "You can't just call people beggars," Aanne snapped as Caroline rolled her eyes. "You think because you have wealth, that gives you the right to treat people like they're beneath you." Caroline was unbothered, her British composure never wavering. "I didn't call everyone beggars, darling, but if the shoe fits," her voice trailed off, and the room inhaled sharply. Aanne wasn't about to let this slide. "You think you're a queen because you married into money, but what are you without your husband's empire? What are you without the wealth you borrowed?" The room was still for a moment as Aanne's words echoed. Stanbury's icy demeanor faltered for just a beat before she shot back. "I worked hard to build my brand, my life. I didn't beg for anything. You wouldn't know what it means to struggle because all you do is complain and throw insults." Aanne, eyes ablaze, retorted, "Struggle? I've struggled more than you could ever know. You think because you sit in your palace, people are going to worship you. Well, I'm here to remind you that even queens fall." The tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. The other housewives shifted uncomfortably in their seats, knowing that this exchange had been building for months. It wasn't just about class or wealth. It was about identity, respect, and who had earned their place in Dubai's glittering landscape. But the Caroline versus Aanne feud was just the opening act. Next came the showdown between Sarah Al-Madani, who had been dubbed the voice of reason throughout much of the season, and Lisa Milan, the businesswoman who had spent the better part of her time on the show building her empire and defending it. Sarah, always quick with her spiritual platitudes, had rubbed Lisa the wrong way on several occasions, particularly when she suggested that Lisa's success might not be as self-made as she claimed. "You've borrowed your way into Dubai society," Sarah had implied earlier in the season, a comment that still lingered like a bad perfume. Lisa wasn't about to let that accusation go unnoticed. "Borrowed my way?" Lisa shot at Sarah, turning in her chair so fast her dress shimmered under the reunion lights. "I built my brand from the ground up. You sit there playing the spiritual advisor, but you don't know anything about the hustle it took to get where I am." Sarah, unfazed by Lisa's fiery response, responded coolly. "I wasn't questioning your hustle, Lisa, but you have to admit, there are some things about your journey that aren't as transparent as you make them seem." Lisa's eyes narrowed. "What are you trying to say? That I'm not real? That I'm fake? Because if anyone here is borrowing a persona, it's you with your guru act." Sarah's lips pressed into a tight smile. "I'm saying we all need to reflect on what we project. It's easy to get caught up in appearances and forget the bigger picture." Lisa wasn't having it. "The only person projecting is you, Sarah. You can sit there and act like you're above it all, but you're just as deep in this as the rest of us. And you know what? That's fine. But don't preach to me about borrowed lives when you're living off your family's money." The audience gasped. The air between the two women crackled with unresolved tension. Andy, sensing the heat, stepped in to cool things down. "Sarah, Lisa, there's obviously a lot to unpack here, but do you think there's any way you two can move past this?" Lisa shot Sarah one last icy glance. I'm not sure. But what I know is that I don't need anyone's validation, not yours, not hers, and definitely not anyone else sitting on this stage. As the night wore on, other feuds were reignited and simmering tensions bubbled over. Caroline Brooks, ever the instigator, took jabs at Nana Ali, accusing her of playing both sides all season.